Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered why some people learn English fast and others struggle for years? You might think it's about talent. You might think it's about luck. But the truth is different. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about your brain. Your brain is the most powerful learning machine in the world. Every word you hear, every sound you repeat, every sentence you try to speak, your brain is working. It is not only remembering, it is building. It is creating new pathways, like small roads inside your head. When you practice English, those roads grow stronger. And when those roads are strong, English begins to flow naturally. Think about it. A child is not born knowing English, or Chinese, or Spanish. A child's brain simply learns whichever language it hears the most. Why? Because the brain is designed to learn language. This means your brain can learn English too. No matter your age, no matter your past, your brain is ready to change. And here is the most exciting part. Science shows that learning English is not only about words and grammar. It is about how you train your brain. If you train it the right way, you can learn faster. You can remember more. You can speak with more confidence. This is what we call the neuroscience of English, the science of how your brain learns, remembers, and speaks a new language. So stay with me, because once you understand this, English learning will never feel the same again. You will see your brain in a new way. You will feel more powerful, more hopeful, and more ready to succeed. Chapter 1. The Brain and Language. A hidden power. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever thought about your brain as a language machine? Most people don't. They think learning English is just about reading books, repeating grammar rules, or memorizing long lists of words. But here's the truth. The most powerful language school in the world is not in America, not in England, not in any classroom. It's right inside your head. It is your brain. Your brain is the most advanced tool nature has ever created. It is faster than the best computer. It is smarter than any dictionary. It can learn one language, 2 languages, or even 10 languages if you train it the right way. The brain is not just a box of memory. It is a living, changing, and growing machine. And when it comes to learning English, the brain plays the biggest role of all. Now let me explain this in simple words. Inside your brain, there are special areas that help you with language. One of them is called Broca's area. This part of the brain helps you speak, form sentences, and control the muscles of your mouth when you talk. Another important part is called Wernicke's area. This area helps you understand what you hear. When someone speaks English to you, this area becomes active. These 2 areas, together with other parts of your brain, work like a team. They allow you to listen, to understand, and then to respond in English. Isn't that amazing? So, when you say to yourself, I am bad at English, or maybe I don't have the talent, stop for a moment. It's not about talent. Your brain already has the tools for language. It doesn't matter if your first language is Urdu, Spanish, Arabic, or Chinese. The same brain areas are there. They are ready for English too. The real question is this: are you using your brain the right way? Here is where the story gets interesting. English learning is not just about memory. Yes, you can memorize words, but memory alone is weak. If you don't use the words, they disappear. That's why so many learners say, I studied this word yesterday, but today I forgot. Do you know why this happens? Because the brain is not a simple notebook where you write something once and keep it forever. The brain is alive. It changes. It needs practice to grow stronger. Every time you practice English, something magical happens. Your brain grows new connections. Imagine a tree. When a tree is young, It has only a few roots. But as time goes on, the roots spread deeper and wider into the soil. These roots give the tree strength. Your brain works in the same way. Every English word you hear, every sentence you speak, is like growing a new root. The more you practice, the more roots your brain grows. These roots are called neural connections. And the stronger these connections are, the easier English becomes. This is the hidden power of your brain. It is not fixed. It is not closed. It is open and ready to build. Every practice session is like watering your language tree. The more water you give, the more connections grow. And one day, without even noticing, your tree is strong enough to stand by itself. That's when English starts to flow naturally. Now let me give you a powerful image. Think about the first time you rode a bicycle. At the beginning, it was difficult. You felt nervous. You lost balance. But after many tries, something happened. Your brain created new pathways. Suddenly, your body knew how to ride without thinking. The same thing happens with English. At first, it feels slow, heavy, and confusing. But with practice, your brain builds faster pathways. One day, you find yourself speaking without translating, without stopping. That's the moment when your brain shows its true power. And here is the exciting part. Science shows us that these changes are real. If you look at brain scans of people learning languages, you can actually see new areas of activity. The brain is not just using old roads. It is building new ones. It is like a city adding new highways so the traffic can move faster. That is what is happening inside your head when you practice English every day. So, don't ever believe the myth that only children can learn fast. Yes, children learn quickly, but adults have strong brains too. Adults already have discipline, focus, and understanding. Your brain can keep growing and changing at any age. This ability of the brain to change is called neuroplasticity, and we will talk more about that in the next chapter. For now, just remember this. Your brain is not fixed. It is flexible. It is ready for English. But here's the secret you must know. If you don't practice, the connections get weak. Just like a tree without water, the roots begin to dry. This is why many learners study English for years but never feel fluent. They are not feeding their brain enough. They read once, they forget, and then they stop. But when you give your brain regular practice, even just 10 minutes a day, you are giving it water, light, and energy. Slowly, your English tree grows strong and unshakable. So now you know, English learning is not about talent or luck. It is about your brain. It is about creating and growing new connections. And the best part? You are the gardener. You control how strong your tree grows. You decide how many roots your brain will have for English. Stay with me, because in the next chapter, I will show you something even more exciting. How your brain can change shape and rewire itself completely. This is called neuroplasticity, and it is the biggest secret that will make you believe, yes, I can learn English. Chapter 2. Neuroplasticity. Your brain can change. There is a long word in science that many people find difficult to say. The word is neuroplasticity. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about how big it sounds. I will explain it in the simplest way. Neuroplasticity means this. Your brain can change and adapt at any age. That's it. Your brain is not a hard rock. It is not fixed forever. It is soft, flexible, and ready to grow. This is very good news for English learners. Why? Because many people believe a big myth. I am too old to learn English. Maybe you have thought this too. Maybe someone told you that only children can learn languages fast. But science tells us something different. Your brain is learning all the time. Even now, as you listen and watch this video, your brain is creating new connections. It does not stop, not at age 20, not at age 40, not even at age 70. The brain is always changing. Think about it. Every time you remember a new word, every time you say a new sentence, your brain rewires itself. It makes new pathways, new connections. And these connections are not weak. They can become strong if you keep using them. This is the hidden gift of neuroplasticity. It is like your brain is always young inside, always ready to grow if you give it the right training. Let me share a powerful example. Imagine a person who has a stroke. A stroke is a brain injury that can make people lose their ability to speak. They may forget how to move their mouth, how to form words, even how to understand sentences. But here is the miracle. With practice and therapy, many of these patients learn to speak again. How is this possible? Because their brain changes. The old pathways may be damaged, but new ones are built. The brain adapts. It rewires itself. This is neuroplasticity in action. Now let's look at another example. Children. You have probably heard stories of kids who grow up speaking 2, 3, or even 4 languages. They move between languages like water flowing from one glass to another. Why? Because their brains are constantly building and rebuilding connections. Their brain is not special compared to yours. The only difference is that they use neuroplasticity every day without fear. They are not afraid of mistakes. They don't worry about grammar rules. They just play with the language, and the brain shapes itself around that play. Here is the spike moment I want you to remember. Your brain is not a rock. It is more like soft clay. You know clay, right? Artists use it to make pots, cups, statues. When clay is soft, you can shape it in any way. Every time you touch it, it changes form. Your brain is the same. Every English word you learn is like pressing your finger into the clay. It leaves a mark. Every sentence you practice shapes it a little more. The more you practice, the stronger and clearer the shape becomes. One day, the clay is no longer soft and random. It becomes a beautiful design. That design is your English ability. This means you are never too old, never too late, never too weak to learn. If stroke patients can rebuild speech after losing it, if children can pick up languages without fear, then you too can train your brain for English. All it takes is daily practice, small steps, and belief in the power of neuroplasticity. I want you to imagine your brain right now. Inside, there are billions of tiny cells called neurons. These neurons connect to each other like branches of a huge forest. When you practice English, you make those connections stronger. At first, it feels difficult, like walking through a new path in the forest. But every day you walk that path, it becomes easier. The grass gets pressed down. The road becomes clear. Soon, it becomes a strong, open road that your brain can use quickly. That is how English becomes natural. That is neuroplasticity at work. Now, let's destroy the myth once and for all. I'm too old. No, you're not too old. You are exactly the right age to learn. Maybe you will learn differently than a child, but you will also learn smarter. Adults have focus. Adults have experience. Adults can connect ideas. And science says the adult brain is still plastic, still able to change. The only time you cannot learn is if you stop believing in yourself. So here's the truth. If you are 18, your brain can change. If you are 30, your brain can change. If you are 50, your brain can change. Even if you are 70, your brain can still change. Every single day is a chance to reshape your clay. Every single word is a chance to grow your forest. Every single practice is a chance to water your English tree. This is why I want you to feel excited. The science is on your side. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a genius. You only need to practice. Your brain will do the rest. It will change. It will adapt. It will surprise you with how much it can do. But now a question comes. If the brain is like clay, how do we shape it in the best way? How do we make sure our English tree grows fast and strong? How do we walk the forest path so clearly that we never forget the way? This is what we will explore in the next chapter. We will talk about memory, how the brain stores words, how it keeps them safe, and how you can train it to remember English forever. Chapter 3. Memory and English. How the brain stores words. Have you ever tried to learn a new English word today and then completely forgotten it tomorrow? Don't worry, you are not alone. This happens to almost every learner. The problem is not that your brain is weak. The problem is that you don't yet understand how memory works. Once you know the secret, learning English will become much easier. Let's start with something very simple. Your brain has two main kinds of memory: short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory is like a small notepad. You write something on it, but it only stays there for a short time. For example, imagine you go to the market and you remember a small shopping list: bread, milk, eggs. You hold it in your mind while you shop. But the next day, do you remember that list? Probably not. That is short-term memory. Long-term memory is different. It is like a big library. It keeps stories, pictures, and experiences for many years. Think about your childhood. Do you remember the name of your first school? Do you remember your favorite toy or your best friend when you were little? Those memories are still there, even after many years. That is the power of long-term memory. Now, here is the important part. English words that you learn for the first time usually go into short-term memory. That's why you forget them quickly. But if you practice those words again and again in different situations, the brain moves them into long-term memory. And once they are in long-term memory, they are very hard to forget. This is why repetition and practice are so powerful. Let me tell you a short story. There was a learner named Ollie. He wanted to improve his English, so he started learning 10 new words every day. The first day, he was very happy. He memorized all 10 words. But the next day, when he tried to remember them, he could only recall 3. The rest were gone. He felt frustrated. He thought, maybe my memory is weak. But the truth was different. His brain had only stored those words in short-term memory. Then Ollie learned about spaced repetition. Instead of just memorizing words once, he started reviewing them again and again, but with time gaps. He studied the words on the first day, then repeated them on the second day, again after 3 days, again after a week, and once more after a month. This time, something amazing happened. The words stayed in his mind. Even after a year, he could still remember them easily. Why? Because his brain had moved them into long-term memory. That is the real magic of practice. Now here comes the spike moment, the magic number. Scientists have studied memory for many years, and they discovered something interesting. For a new word to stick in your long-term memory, your brain needs to see it many times, not just once. Some studies say you need to see a new word at least 7 times, in different situations, before it becomes permanent. This means if you hear the word courage once, you may forget it. But if you hear it in a movie, read it in a book, say it in a sentence, write it in your notebook, and use it when talking to a friend, then your brain says, ah, This word is important. I will keep it forever. Think of your brain like a teacher. If you tell the teacher one time, this is important, the teacher might forget. But if you repeat it many times, the teacher writes it in the permanent book. That's what repetition does. It tells your brain, this word matters. Don't lose it. So the key is not just learning words. The key is reviewing them again and again. And here is the good news. You don't need to spend hours. Even short practice, done regularly, is enough to move words from short-term to long-term memory. Now, I want you to imagine your memory like a house. The front door is short-term memory. Words enter, but if you don't invite them in, they leave quickly. Long-term memory is the living room inside the house. The only way to bring words inside is to open the door many times, to show them that they are welcome. Repetition is like saying, come in, sit down, make yourself comfortable. That is how English words become a part of you. But here's the mistake many learners make. They try to memorize too many words at once, without review. This is like bringing hundreds of guests to your door, but never letting them sit down. Of course they leave. That's why it's better to learn fewer words, but practice them again and again. Quality is more powerful than quantity. So remember this. Your brain is not a weak notebook that loses information. It is a smart system. It asks, is this information important? Should I keep it? And the only way to tell your brain, yes, keep it, is by repetition. Practice is the signal. The more times your brain sees a word, the more it understands that this word belongs in the long-term library. And now you may be asking yourself, okay, I understand how memory works. But how can I train my brain to remember words forever? Is there a method, a trick, a way to make learning English faster and easier? The answer is yes. There are special techniques that can make your brain remember English words like glue. And in the next chapter, I will share them with you. I will show you how emotions can supercharge your memory, how feelings can turn English words into unforgettable experiences. Get ready, because what you learn next may change the way you study forever. Chapter 4. The Role of Emotions. Feel English. Don't just study it. Have you ever wondered why you can remember the lyrics of your favorite song, but you forget the vocabulary you studied yesterday? Or why you can repeat a funny line from a movie after hearing it once, but a grammar rule disappears from your mind after 1 week? The answer is simple: emotion. When you feel something, happiness, surprise, fear, even sadness, your brain remembers it more deeply. Think about it. Do you remember what you ate for breakfast last Monday? Probably not. But do you remember the happiest moment of your life? Or the saddest? Yes, very clearly. Why? Because emotions act like glue for memory. They make experiences stick. This is not magic. This is science. Inside your brain, there is a small but powerful part called the amygdala. The amygdala is your emotion center. Every time you feel excitement, joy, fear, or even embarrassment, the amygdala lights up. And when the amygdala is active, it tells your brain, this is important. Remember this. That is why emotional memories last much longer than neutral ones. Now let's connect this to English. If you only study English like a school subject, reading dry sentences, memorizing word lists, filling grammar worksheets, your brain does not feel anything. It sees the information, but it doesn't care. The amygdala stays quiet. That's why you forget so quickly. But if you connect English to feelings, the amygdala wakes up. It helps you remember faster and longer. Let me give you an example. Imagine you listen to an English song that makes you feel happy. You sing along. You enjoy the melody, and you connect the words to your emotions. Even if you don't understand every word, the ones you feel will stay with you. Many learners tell me they can sing full songs in English, but cannot remember yesterday's vocabulary lesson. That is the power of emotion. Another example, movies. How many times have you watched a movie, laughed at a funny scene, and later repeated the line perfectly? Maybe it was a joke, maybe it was a dramatic sentence. You didn't sit down to study it, but it entered your memory anyway. Why? Because you felt something. You were not just studying English, you were living it. So, how can you use this secret for your own learning? The answer is, attach feelings to English. Don't just look at words, make them part of your life. Here are a few simple ways. Use music. Listen to English songs that you enjoy. Sing along, even if you make mistakes. The rhythm and emotion will help you remember words naturally. Watch stories, movies, TV shows, short videos, anything that makes you laugh, cry, or feel excited. Connect the words to the emotions in the story. Have real conversations. When you talk to a friend, even if you are nervous, that emotion makes the moment memorable. You will remember the words you used in that conversation much longer than words you studied silently. Create your own stories. When you learn a new word, don't just write the meaning. Write a small, funny, or emotional sentence with it. For example, if the word is brave, don't just say brave equals not afraid. Say, I was brave when I spoke English in front of my teacher. Now you connect the word with a real emotion. Here comes the spike moment. Your amygdala is not your enemy. It is your secret tool. Many learners feel embarrassed or shy when speaking English. But do you know what? That nervous feeling can actually help you remember. If you make a mistake and laugh, your brain says, this is important. Don't forget. The amygdala has already done its job. So even your fear can become your teacher. I want you to think of your brain like a camera. The amygdala is the flash. When you feel strong emotion, the flash goes off, and the picture is clear forever. Without emotion, the picture is dark and nothing stays. That's why the best English learners don't just study words, they feel them. So from today, don't make English boring. Don't just copy words from a dictionary. Put life into them. Sing them, laugh with them, cry with them. Use them in your own emotional stories. Every time you feel something, you are making the word stronger in your memory. Now, here's the exciting part. We have learned that the brain can change. That was neuroplasticity. We have learned how memory works, short-term and long-term. And now you know that emotions act like glue. But the journey doesn't stop here. There is one more secret. Just like your body grows stronger with exercise, your brain also grows stronger with practice. Practice is like going to the gym for your brain. And in the next chapter, I will show you how repetition and daily practice can physically change the shape of your brain and make English smoother and faster. Get ready, because this is where the science becomes even more powerful. Chapter 5. Practice and the brain. Repetition builds strength. Let's imagine something simple. Think about going to the gym. On the first day, you lift a small weight. It feels heavy. Your muscles are weak. But if you go again the next day, and the next, slowly your muscles begin to grow. The weight that once felt heavy now feels easy. Why? Because your body changes with practice. The more you repeat and exercise, the stronger you become. Now here's the exciting part. Your brain works in the same way. Every time you practice English, it is like lifting a weight. At first, it feels heavy. Your tongue feels slow. Your mind feels tired. But if you repeat, and repeat, your brain becomes stronger. Speaking English becomes smoother. Understanding becomes faster. Just like your muscles grow with exercise, your brain grows with practice. Scientists discovered something amazing about this. Inside your brain, there are billions of connections between nerve cells. When you practice English, these connections send signals back and forth. At first, the signals are slow, like cars moving on a small road. But with repetition, something special happens. Your brain starts to wrap those signals in a protective coat called myelin. Now don't worry about the big word. I will explain it simply. Myelin is like a jacket around your brain's signals. Every time you practice, the jacket becomes thicker, and the thicker it gets, the faster and smoother the signals move. This means your English becomes quicker, more natural, and less effortful. At the beginning, speaking English feels like driving on a bumpy road. But with practice, myelin makes the road smooth and fast, like a highway. Here's a spike moment. The brain literally changes shape when you practice. This is not just a nice idea. It is proven by science. Brain scans of musicians, athletes, and language learners show clear differences. The areas they use most often become bigger and stronger. In other words, the brain is like clay. It reshapes itself with use. If you practice English daily, the areas for speaking, listening, and remembering actually grow. That is why practice is not optional. It is the fuel that transforms your brain. But here is where many learners make a mistake. They think, I will study for 2 or 3 hours on the weekend, and that will be enough. Sadly, this does not work. Imagine going to the gym only once a week for 3 hours. Will your muscles grow? No. They will feel sore, but they won't grow strong. Muscles grow with regular daily training, not big one-time efforts. The same is true for English. Your brain prefers small, daily practice. Even just 10 to 15 minutes every day is far more powerful than 2 hours once a week. Why? Because daily repetition keeps the signals active. It keeps building the myelin coat. It tells your brain, this is important, don't forget. If you wait too long between practice sessions, the brain weakens the connection. But if you feed it daily, the connection grows like a tree watered every day. So, here's my advice. Don't worry if you cannot study for hours. You don't need to. What matters is consistency. A few minutes of focused English practice every day will rewire your brain far more effectively than long, irregular study. Read a short story, speak to yourself in English, watch a small video clip, or write 3 sentences in a notebook. These micro-practices are like seeds. Each one grows roots. Over time, your English tree becomes tall and strong. Now, let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time you tried to speak English? Maybe you translated in your head from your own language. Maybe you felt slow and confused. That's normal. At the beginning, your brain uses old roads, translation roads. But with enough practice, repetition, and myelin, something incredible happens. Your brain builds direct roads for English. You start to think in English. This is the final and most powerful stage of learning. When you think in English, you no longer waste time translating word by word. Your brain works faster, like lightning. You respond naturally, without fear. And the amazing thing is, science shows bilingual brains, brains that can think in more than one language, are actually sharper, healthier, and even age more slowly. Your brain becomes not just stronger in English, but stronger in life. So let's put it all together. Practice is the gym for your brain. Repetition builds myelin, and myelin makes English faster and smoother. Brain scans prove your brain changes shape with practice, is better than long, rare sessions. And with enough repetition, your brain makes the final shift. It starts to think directly in English. Now that you know the power of practice, you are ready for the last secret. In the next chapter, we will talk about the final brain shift, how to stop translating and start thinking in English. This is the key that will unlock fluency, confidence, and freedom in your speaking. Chapter 6. Thinking in English, the final brain shift. Have you ever felt stuck when speaking English? You know the word in your own language, but then you stop. You try to translate it in your head. You think, you hesitate, and by the time you speak, the moment is gone. This is the hidden problem for many learners. Translation. Translation is slow. It is like trying to run a race while carrying a heavy backpack. Every word you translate takes extra time and energy. Your brain goes, idea, my language, English. That's 2 steps too many. And in a real conversation, 2 steps can feel like an eternity. But here is the exciting truth. You don't have to translate forever. Your brain has the power to create a shortcut. Scientists call it a neural shortcut. This means your brain builds direct pathways for English, so it no longer goes through your native language. Instead, the process becomes idea English. One smooth step. No backpack, no delay. This is the final brain shift, the moment when you begin to think in English. Now, how do we make this shift? Let me share a few simple but powerful tips. First, try labeling your world in English. Take sticky notes and write words like door, mirror, phone, or table. Place them on the objects around you. Every time you see them, your brain learns to connect the object directly with the English word. No translation needed. When you look at a chair, you no longer think syllab chair or coursey chair. You simply think chair. This small habit rewires your brain step by step. Second, speak to yourself in English. Yes, it may feel strange, but it works. Talk to yourself about your day. I am cooking rice. I am tired. I need to send a message. These little sentences create direct English roads in your brain. You are training your inner voice to speak English first, without going through your mother tongue. Third, try journaling in English. Write a few sentences every evening. Don't worry about grammar or mistakes. Just write your thoughts directly in English. For example, today I walked in the park. The sun was warm. I felt happy. When you write like this, you practice thinking directly in English. Over time, your writing and your inner voice will become natural. Here's the spike moment. Thinking in English doesn't just make you fluent. It actually makes your brain healthier. Science shows that bilingual brains are faster at solving problems, better at focusing, and even delay aging and memory loss. That means your English practice is not only about speaking better, it is also about protecting your brain for life. Every English word you learn is like exercise for your mind, keeping it sharp and young. So, let's imagine together. Picture yourself in the future. You are in a conversation with a native speaker. The words come quickly, naturally. You don't stop. You don't translate. You smile. You enjoy the moment, and the other person understands you. That is the power of thinking in English. It feels free. It feels light. And it feels possible. Now, let me give you an emotional truth. Your brain was designed to learn languages. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not too weak. The same brain that once learned your mother tongue can also learn English. The difference is not talent, it is training. Every time you practice, label, speak, or write, you are reshaping your brain. You are creating the English roads that will one day carry you smoothly to fluency. So do not give up. Even if you feel slow today, even if you forget tomorrow, remember this: your brain is changing. Every word you practice is a seed. Every sentence you speak is a root. And one day, without even noticing, your tree of English will stand tall, strong, and unshakable. This is the final brain shift. Stop translating. Start thinking in English. Let your brain build the shortcut. Let English become part of you. Because fluency is not just about words, it's about freedom. And your freedom starts today. If this video opened your eyes to the power of your brain, give it a like. It tells me you enjoyed it. And it also helps more learners like you discover this channel. And if you're ready to train your brain for English every single day, write in the comments: I'm training my brain. I promise I'll reply and cheer you on because your journey matters. And don't forget to subscribe for more simple and powerful English lessons. Lessons that don't just teach grammar rules, but unlock your mind to think faster, remember longer, and speak with real confidence.